Are we ready for a new world order?
There's war.
The United States is in the state of war. Undeclared total war.
The key to the new war would be secrecy.
Hello and welcome to the Jeremy Elliott Show. I'm Jeremy Elliott. In honor of our first episode, I wanted to put together an end-to-end review on what I understand the New World Order to be and how it's being implemented. This episode consists of a culmination of my own research, thoughts, opinions, and historical facts. I'm dedicated to providing two perspectives, one secular and one sacred. But before we get into that, stay up to date with everything iconic by following us on all of our social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. You can support us by going to patreon.com/theIconicPodcast and making a monthly pledge. You can also support us by going to the Iconic label and purchase us some merchandise. Now, let's get down to business. What is this New World Order? Well, I think Michael Birkin provides an excellent overview where he says, viewing the history of the world as a history of warfare between secret societies where well-established upper-class families with old money who founded and financed the Bilderberg Group, Bohemian Grove, Club of Rome, Council on Foreign Relations, the Rhodes Trust, Skull and Bones, the Trilateral Commission, and similar think tanks and private clubs are illuminated conspirators plotting to impose a totalitarian New World Order, the implementation of an authoritarian world government controlled by the United Nations and a global central bank, which maintains political power through the financialization of the economy, regulation and restriction of speech through the concentration of media ownership, mass surveillance, the widespread use of state terrorism, and an all-encompassing propaganda that creates a cult of personality around a puppet world leader and ideologizes world government as the culmination of history's progress. That was Michael Birkin in his book, A Culture of Conspiracy, Apocalyptic Visions in Contemporary America. Now, we've all heard about this New World Order idea and what it entails. We hear things like a one world government, a one world monetary system and a single unit currency, a one world language, a one world religion, a one world military, a depopulation agenda. But if we deep dive into each of these, we'll see that the one world government idea, we've moved from monarchies to nation states to the corporate state, and from the corporate state to the global state. With this one world monetary system and single unit currency, we have a single unit currency standardized across the entire world, which gives us this idea of a cashless society. We'll have a one world language via the internet. English is the lingua franca, like Akkadian was in the ancient world, the international language of business or the international language of correspondence. We'll have a one world religion, Gaia, earth worship, paganism, monism. It's the coexist philosophy of the Baha'i faith. A one world military. NATO is being crafted, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, to be a one world military system. A depopulation agenda, reducing the population under what's known as Malthusian eugenics. Malthusianism teaches us that we're over the Earth's carrying capacity like a giant ship. We're infinite growth against finite resources, where eugenics tells us which people out of the population need to be removed. We'll have controlled birth and death rates to achieve that end. Now, what does this mean for you and I? What is the actual end game? Well, it's the end of the line for things like national sovereignty and constitutional republics, or private property and private land ownership. The mom and pop shops will be replaced or consumed by sustainable production. The nuclear family unit will be a thing of the past. Father, mother, child is replaced with parent one and parent two. Children are no longer babies, they're they be. Sexless, genderless, nationless, and godless. Communal education and child rearing by the state. Immigration will be a thing of the past, as we'll have open borders for world citizens based on, well, the social credit score. Private farmlands and grazing of livestock will be a thing of the past. In this new world society, people will be herded into city centers where their needs will be cared for. We'll have a social credit system to determine the rights and privileges of each new world citizen, a universal basic income to supply the basic necessities with carbon taxes, limits and restrictions, of course, track and trace of all products, all contacts, all travel behaviors, and of course, your intellectual views. We'll have a Internet of Things, centralized system of control and power by AI, algorithms, robots, and machine learning, and of course, 3D printing on smart grids with smart cities with smart meters, an internet of bodies connecting your body to the smart grid. All businesses will be public-private partnerships with the government following the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the ESG guidelines, and of course, the 3 E's: economy, ecology, and equity. The United Nations control will be governed through these SDGs, these 3 E's and ESGs via major asset managers like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and Berkshire Hathaway. Control over all private property, the means of production, and all avenues of trade is a standard definition of communism. Humanity will be placed in human settlement zones or human habitats. The global domestication of what they call the human cattle or the human weeds, all non-settlement areas for human beings, will be placed under the rewilding project. What Michael Birkin in his book is calling the secret societies are actually secret social societies that are partly open to the public and provide a hint of transparency, but they're mostly secretive. What are typically called the roundtable organizations, founded and developed by personnel who are offshoots of the Cecil Rhodes Milner Group, who in the late 1800s and early 1900s devised a plan for world empire based in Britain, who later emerged with the Rockefeller Consortium, giving birth to this idea of what we know today as the New World Order, based in Manhattan, with the United Nations as the front organization for world government. The roundtable groups consist of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, or what's known as Chatham House, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, and of course the Club of Rome, Budapest, and Madrid. It is these groups and their members who were responsible for the founding and formulation of the U.S. Federal Reserve System in 1913, the League of Nations in 1919, the International Monetary Fund in 1944, the United Nations in 1945, the World Bank also in 1945, the World Health Organization in 1948, the European Union and the Euro currency in 1993, the World Trade Organization in 1998, the African Union in 2002, and the Union of the South American Nations in 2008. And their global to local plan is to implement world government down to the neighborhood level with Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, with their 17 Sustainable Development Goals and their ESGs, environmental social governance.